Hey guys, it's that time again, time for another episode of The Grey Escape. And today we are going magical. I'll tell you all about it right after this. I have someone so talented and crafted in the field of magic, a professional magician, not just that, an incredible comedian. Dana Daniels, I saw him many years ago. He blew me away. It was such a memorable show. I booked him for one of my shows. And now here he is again on my podcast, and I'm so happy. I got to interview him at his home in California, which is kind of styled on a cross between the Magic Castle and Main Street Disneyland. Everything's custom. It's like a wonderland when you go inside. I will put pictures at thegreyescape.com. Trust me, pretty cool, envy-inducing stuff. Especially if you're a guy, because, I mean, who doesn't want a gas pump or drive-in movie speakers in their home, right? So, without further ado, let's learn all about magic. I know we're going to get inside information here. I'm so excited. Open sesame. Here's Dana Daniels. So, we'll go back. It's 1999. I'm running a comedy show. I'm a brand new comic in Pasadena, where I've done a painting gig at Hollywood. That's what I did. I painted the...
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I did all the walls.
On the walls?
Yeah, with crazy things like space scenes.
Wow, I forgot about that.
So that's 1999.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who else was on that show?
Well, my first headliner was Dane Cook.
No way,
who was
really?
the hottest guy in town. And everybody said, like, who's the hottest guy? Dane Cook. So I got Dane Cook to headline the first show, and then I think Zach Galifianakis to headline the second show.
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman did the third one.
Wow.
And I know Doug Benson came out and did one, and I think you were like like the fifth person booked, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
look where their career's gone. And
I
look at me.
Well, surely this is by design, Dana.
Yes. No, I'm happy where I'm at.
You've eluded the movies deliberately, clearly.
Eluded? Oh, yes. You know, I never got in this business to be rich and famous, and so far my plan is working perfectly. So,
What's the journey? Did you start off as a comic or a magician?
Magician.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, well, like any kid, you know, when I was younger, even before I got into magic, I used to have a tape recorder, not as fancy as what we have here. You know, it was one of those old cassette tapes, you know, and I would do impressions.
Okay.
And then do TV commercials and stuff like that, just for myself, you know, practice that kind of stuff. And then when I was 10, I was in a car accident and broke both my legs.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the hospital for several months in traction, body cast, and all that. And during that time, a magician came up and entertained the kids. And it was the first time I ever saw a magician live in person. And he did this trick where he took a handkerchief out of his pocket and changed it into a cane. And it was like at that moment, you know, I was hooked. I was like, I wanted to learn how to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. So my mom took me to a magic shop as soon as I got out of the hospital. And I asked about that trick, and they said, well, it's a little advanced. So they sold me, you know, some other trick that was simpler. And then they signed me up for magic classes. And I just started taking classes, and then it kind of went on from there. I got a job at the magic shop eventually when I was a teenager.
And was this in California?
Yeah, I grew up in Long Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the name of the magic shop where you
It was,
lived?
back then, it was called B&H School of Magic, and then shortly after that, it changed into The Magic Shop.
Okay.
That's what it was called.
Is it still there?
No, I think there's a Burger King there now.
Oh,
so
nice.
I go
Evolution.
in there. Yes.
Things are going so well.
Yeah, I drive by and I just go, what a shame.
So you were working at the magic shop, honing your craft, and then how did it cross over into being professional?
Well, I was working in the magic shop, doing, you know, selling tricks and stuff like that, learning my craft, because they're not, usually the magic shops, especially during the week, they are not very busy. So you have a lot of time to read the books and stuff like that. And I did kids' birthday parties and things like that. And I tried all different kinds of magic, you know, illusions, manipulation magic on stage. Soon David Copperfield became he was just starting out to become famous. And so everyone was trying to be like David Copperfield, look cool, wear the suits, and the way he did the magic back then. Quickly found out that really wasn't me. You know, it was David Copperfield, but it wasn't. I looked pretty ridiculous trying to do it. And yeah, got some laughs. I thought, well, maybe I should go towards comedy. So I always had a flair for the comedy and timing and all that. I always used to stay up late and watch Johnny Carson and Jack Benny and all those guys. And I think that influence, you know, I'd always kind of use borrow their timing and stuff like that in telling my jokes and stuff like that, along with the magic tricks. So.
And how did you get the first bookings then? So you got good. You tried the David Copperfield thing, and you felt like, sounds like you felt like a bit of a phony, maybe.
Well, it just wasn't me. It just, you know, felt like, it didn't feel right. You know, it just, I didn't look right. I didn't feel right. You know, it just wasn't, you got to have a certain kind of a finesse for that kind of magic. And I didn't like carrying all the big props around. I mean, that's big stuff, a lot of stuff. You got to depend on the girl to show up, you know, to cut in half. And
right. And how readily available are these
it was a
girls?
great way to meet girls, though. It's like, hey, can I like to cut you in half?
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, but it's a good opening line.
Yeah, definitely.
I just, comedy magic just became more natural for me.
So how old were you when you first hired a girl to make an attempt at a big trick?
Oh, I was in high school.
It's still high school, okay.
Yeah, I was in high school.
So you're cutting girls in half in high school.
Oh, yeah, I was. Yeah. Junior year, senior year, yeah.
Okay, wow. So this is really young.
Yeah. I had a few. I had a station wagon. That was my first car was a station wagon. My parents, what do you want for a car? A station wagon. That's so I can carry the illusions around. Yeah. So.
What's the difference between magic and illusions? Is there one?
Well, illusions are usually just regarded as the bigger tricks on, the bigger tricks on stage.
More grandiose
yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Grand illusion. Yeah.
Like where you're hanging from a tank.
And you're looking at it and you can't really see how it's done. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, how is that lady floating? It's an illusion. It's being done, but you don't know how it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
But magic is obviously just magic.
Well, yeah, close-up magic can be considered maybe it's just called close-up magic, but it's also an illusion. But as far as what we call it, close-up magic, comedy magic, there's cabaret magic, you know, and, all the different kinds, manipulation magic, dove magic, you know, bird magic.
Wow.
We have all different kinds of categories. Oh, a bunch of them, yes.
Dove magic.
I'm letting you inside.
Yeah, this is excellent. Yeah, I had wondered about that because I've heard the terms illusion and magic.
Yes.
And I wondered if one has like maybe a stigma, like, oh, he's an illusionist. He's not a magician, you know.
Not really. Yeah, no. We like each other.
You like everybody. Okay.
Sure.
So it's not like in the world of comedy where, oh, he's a musician. He's got a guitar. It's like, oh, he's got a dove.
Oh,
you know, oh God, you got to follow the guy with the dove.
The dove guy. It's a bird. Yeah.
And you use a bird.
Yes.
You have a parrot.
Yeah.
And I have a parrot, so I can speak somewhat knowledgeably on having a parrot. So now I've learned, I'm allowed to say this. I can cut it out if I'm not allowed to say that you actually own two parrots and they interchange in your show.
Well, one of them has not been in the show yet. He's only a little over a year.
Oh, so
he's still learning. You know, basically it's just taming him.
But he's really being groomed for the show.
Yes.
Okay. And the other bird, did you say the other bird's 19?
Yes.
And how long has he been performing?
He's been doing the show a little over 5 years.
5 years,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's been doing it when the first one died.
Oh.
He stepped in that day when the first one did the show 27 years.
I mean, what is it like? I just am a pet owner. My bird appeared on TV with me in Canada a few times on like a kid's show, and he sat on my shoulder, and that was really the extent of the trickery,
okay.
is he stayed on my shoulder. So that's the level that I'm at with my bird.
Great.
So what's it like working with a parrot? I mean, what goes wrong? What goes right with the parrot?
Well, they can poop on you.
Okay, in the show, I guess.
In the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. But it happens.
Does he ever bite you or bite anybody?
No, he has never bitten anybody else. They have. I've been doing this act for over 30 years, and I've maybe been bitten once or twice. My fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah, did something wrong.
Okay.
But or they're in a mood. But I know one time at the Magic Castle, he bit into me And I had no idea that, I mean, he did, but it was his first show, this one. So he was a little excited. He's never been in front of an audience before. And so when I picked him up, he bit into my thumb, and my anxiety was so high using him because that day, early in the day, the other parrot passed away. And I was emotionally really upset because he died actually backstage at the Magic Castle, Luigi.
What happened to Luigi?
Oh, just at old age.
Old age?
Yeah, he just shut down. But it just happened very quickly.
Gosh.
You know, just one day he just started like shutting down, you know, and it was, I mean, it happened so fast. So he died in my hands, backstage at the Magic Castle. And then I had called my wife, and she brought up Cosmo, the other parrot, and so I did the show that night. But I rehearsed with him, but I never rehearsed with him in front of an audience.
Wow.
So he got a little excited.
Yeah.
So he bit into my thumb, and I'm on stage waving my arms around this and that, and apparently blood is shooting up all over the place.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, and I had no idea, and the stage manager's going, it's like handing me a napkin from the side. I'm going, what? And I'm looking at my thumb, and my hand's covered with blood, and so it's like, so. Yeah,
it would have been very traumatic, I would think, for the bird to hear the applause of the audience.
Yeah, it was the lights, moving curtains and stuff like that. Now it's like nothing bothers him.
I'm shocked he didn't fly off, actually.
He did a little bit.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
We're getting the full story now. The bird actually left the building.
The story is a lot longer than we have time for, but that day was emotional more than ways than one. Yeah,
oh, definitely.
But it was,
I remember Luigi, because that would have been the bird I saw.
Yeah, that's right. You've met Luigi.
Yeah.
And this one, he flew off, and, you know, and I cover everything with jokes and lines. So everybody afterwards, because they're laughing, they thought it was all part of the show. The bird flying off, my thumb bleeding, squirting out blood. They thought that was part of the act. I just started making, you know, riffing on it, you know. And so, because that's what you have to do.
Right.
And they just thought that was part of the show. And I said, yeah, it was, yeah.
This medic is my best friend.
Right.
He's just planted in the audience. So. And you travel internationally with your act, so I know with the bird, it's a nightmare to cross a border.
I don't take him out of the country. I used to years ago, but now these days it's impossible. So what I do is I do the act with a dove, a white dove. Now, see, because if you remember the act, pretty much the act is the bird sits there and does nothing.
Yeah.
Doves are very good at sitting there doing nothing.
Okay.
So I can do 95% of the act. And I can make, and I've worked with doves before. I used to raise doves. I used to do a dove act when I was a teenager. So I know how to make it look like a dove's picking a card, and people think, wow, he's trained to pick a card. You know, and it's an illusion. You know, and so I've been doing this. I just use a dove when I'm out of the country. We usually just borrow it from another magician somewhere else. I've done it in Canada, England.
Wow.
And all that. I have a tour coming up. I'm going to Dubai.
Wow.
And I'm going to Australia.
And what's the network of magicians like then that you can kind of summon a dove in a foreign country? I mean, do you guys just all know each other?
No, the guys I borrowed from, I do not know them. Some of them didn't know who I was. Some of them did. I just look on the internet, magicians in British Columbia, you know, and then they come up, and then I just send them an email and say, hey, I'm going to be in town. Can I borrow a dove if you have one? Or do you know someone who does? And I've never had a problem with it. I take them to lunch, buy them lunch, get the bird, do my show, meet them again, give it back. And
that's so funny.
I've done it.
Borrow a dove.
Can borrow a dove.
Wow. And so it's always gone smoothly. You've never got like an RC dove who's like really kind of crotchety and you're like, why is this guy?
Oh, no, yeah. I know. Well, see, I work in Maui. I do a show out in Maui 15 weeks out of the year, every year. Last 10 years.
Wow.
It's a club out there called Warren and Annabelle's.
Nice.
And Warren takes time off, and I go out there and I fill in for Warren. And you can bring a parrot out there to Hawaii, but it's difficult. So what I do is I have a dove out there that I use. I borrow from another guy who who raises them. And once in a while, a few times, he's given me, I think some that are they're part pigeon or something. But they got an attitude.
Kind of like a knockoff.
Yeah, they're sort of mixed. And they're stronger, and they're a little more toed to them, and they're a little more difficult to work with. But you know, traveling with the parrot is also fun.
Okay.
Going through TSA these days is always an interesting thing. One time I was going through TSA, and I carry my act inside of carry-on bag.
Okay.
And on all my routines, I keep in separate see-through bags. Okay, so it's just like this trick goes inside this bag
like with
here.
Coins and bits and bobs.
Well, yeah, well, just my routines. I do,
Okay.
and so I just know I have all my props and all that, and they're sitting in this bag. And one of the routines I do is it's a prediction routine where I get answers from the audience, and those answers I get from the audience end up inside this letter from Luigi, from the parrot, and the beginning of the letter starts out as, "Help, I'm being forced to do this against my will," as a gag, because I have someone read it off, and it seems like a desperate cry from the bird. Well, I had one that I used, and it was in the clear bag, and it was folded, and so it was sitting right on top.
No.
The TSA guy, they open my bag all the time because I have all this magic stuff. It's weird. And so he unzips it, opens it up, and he sees this note staring at him. It says, "Help, I'm being forced to do this against my will."
God.
And he looks at me and he says, "Are you okay, sir?" And I'm like, I have no idea what he's looking at. So I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then he holds it up and he points at it, but he's not trying to draw a lot of attention. And he's going, "Are you okay?" So he thinks I'm being forced to do something, and I'm trying to send him a message. And so that was hilarious. I'm like, "Oh, no." I had to explain the whole thing to him. So.
Wow. That's like the beginning of a movie right there.
Right.
This is how you get into movies,
Right.
Dana. You write that as a movie.
Okay. Yeah. And then, another time I was going through LAX and I was going through TSA, and I had the bird and I had everything. And then a policeman comes up to me, not a TSA guy, policeman. And he comes up and he goes, "Excuse me, sir, can you follow me?" And I'm like, "Oh boy, what happened? What's going on?" And so I gather up everything, and he takes me into this private room, shuts the door, and he says, "I'm a big fan. I just wanted to meet you."
Oh my God. And meanwhile, you're shitting yourself.
Yes.
What's happening?
And I said, "You have no idea how scared."
Wow. Like, thank you,
I thought I was going
officer.
to miss my plane. And I was like, "Sure.
Wow.
Can I get you in the Magic Castle? Anything you want."
Oh my gosh. And so how about the bird? Does he go through the little x-ray, or do you take him
No,
out?
I walk him through on my finger,
oh my
and the
gosh.
cage goes through the x-ray, and then he goes back in, then we go on the plane, and it goes right underneath the seat. Right there. And most airlines allow birds these days, or animals these days.
I mean, the passengers must be so tickled in the line.
They'd have no idea, actually, because I kind of cover it up when I'm on the plane, because I don't want him to get sick from the air conditioning that's blowing in the bottom there.
Okay.
And then plus keeps them quiet, and plus it keeps from people constantly coming up to me saying, "What's that?"
It'd be a great sight, though, seeing you go through the little the x-ray thing with the bird on
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they know Luigi by name over at Orange County Airport, so and I walk through so often.
And so how long would you say it was until you were introduced and heard about the Magic Castle?
Oh, my first time at the Magic Castle, I was 11 years old. When I first started doing those magic classes. Then I took I joined a magic club called the Long Beach Mystics.
Okay.
And one of their meetings, they had a field trip to go to the Magic Castle.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever heard about it. And I was like, "What's this Magic Castle?" So we went to the Magic Castle, and it was like Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it must have just been like
it was wonderful.
Mecca for you getting there.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And
I don't know what the beep is. What is
I don't
the
know
beep?
what that beep is either. So...
Some kind of illusion going wrong, Dana.
Maybe there's a bomb in here.
Do you remember who you saw
Yeah.
the first time?
Bruce Servan, who was a close-up magician, later became a good friend of mine. So...
Did you get to go and meet any of them? Were you like, "Hey, sir, excuse me, how did you get into this?"
I went and got their autographs
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. So I became a member when you had to be 21 to be a member. They had a juniors club, but I wasn't really interested in that because I belonged to that other Long Beach Mystics club, and that was enough for me. But when I turned 21, I joined the castle, and then I started auditioning, to be a performer there and all that.
How does that work?
Back then, it was different from the way it is now.
Okay.
But back then, they used to have auditions once a month on a Monday.
Okay.
Last Monday of the month or something.
Once a month, and you go and...
Yeah, all the acts be on there auditioning. So.
And would there be a lot? I mean, is it
Yeah.
like Laugh Factory where there's lineups?
Yeah, it was
and
like
stuff?
you got 5 minutes, go out there and do it, and then so it took me a few times. Yeah, because when I first started doing comedy magic, I was doing all the basic routines and basic gags and sight gags and stuff like that. So it was, and I did it well. I remember them telling me, the booker back then was a guy named Peter Pitt, and he said, "You got great timing, and your sleight of hand is great and everything, but I got 10 other acts that do the same thing." And he goes, "Be different, be different." Huh. So I took that to heart. So that's why I kind of created the psychic parrot act, which happened by accident, really. The parrot was a pet of mine. Luigi started chewing on some cards one day, so I wrote this gag where I could read the bird's mind, because the bird would chew the cards, and he'd do it every time. So what I would do is I brought the bird out during my act, and I put him on the perch, and I would say, "Now I can read my bird's mind. I'm going to prove. How can I prove that? I'm going to have you, sir, pick a card. Then we're going to show it to the bird, and then I'm going to read the bird's mind, and you'll verify that it's the right card." So he picks the card. Then I hold the card up for the bird to look at it. And as I'm talking, explaining all this, the bird is chewing up half the card, and then I put the card back in the deck. And then shuffle up a little bit, and then do a little mesmerizing with the bird, hypnotizing, and then I start holding up cards one at a time, and nothing here, no, nothing. And then the third one, wait a minute, it's half eaten. Do you feel it too? And it got big laughs, and then that was really the start of it. It was like, okay, I think I found my hook, and that's why I started looking for routines and things like that for Luigi the Psychic Parrot.
So how long ago was that the Psychic Parrot emerged in your act?
That was,
like, were you in your 20s still?
Yes, I was 22.
So it's right out the gates, really.
Yeah, 22. I was like back in 1982.
Okay.
So.
And so then, you said, and then I was looking for routines. So what is the process of being a magician? Do you literally... I always thought you kind of had to make everything yourself and come up with everything, but I guess there is a repertoire of routines.
You wouldn't believe the access to magic out. There's tons. Magic is one of the most written about subjects in the world.
Okay.
Next to medicine. There's thousands of books, and magicians lecturing every day of the year somewhere. Huh. They go on tour. Some magicians, that's all they do is lecture. That's their living. Creating magic, selling it, and stuff like that. Yeah, I do create some of my own magic. I also take I will purchase routines that are out there, but then I make them my own.
Yeah.
I tweak them, change them, stuff like that.
Wow. Is it so when you purchase a routine, is it like, gosh, it seems such a novel concept to me because I'm not from that world. Like, you just write and go. Is there a site where somebody's got like PayPal, $50, this routine,
Close. There's magic tricks for sale, and they might not necessarily have a routine with them, or it has a light type of routine. It's not like anything detailed as far as, say this, and this, but, do this and say, and some of them do have routines with them, but usually they're not very good routines, or they don't fit your personality.
And when you say a routine, do you mean more when you buy it?
Dialogue, to go along with it,
So when you buy it, though, is it more like physical objects that you're buying that enable you to do the illusion, not just the verbal patter of, here's what I'm going to do with this handkerchief. You're buying some special handkerchief.
Certainly.
That's special,
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're buying an object, and then there's the bonus bit.
But you can also just buy learning the method and use, because some magic is done with just ordinary objects, coins. Right. A lot of the coin tricks I do for close-up are just regular coins. I rarely use any trickery coins like that. It's all sleight of hand.
Your stuff is just, to me, I have seen some other magicians, and the thing that really strikes me with yours is it's just so incredibly funny as well.
Thank you.
Like, you have the tricks. How early on in your career did you cross paths with somebody like Steve Martin? Because his background was magic as well, wasn't it? And then he was really funny. Was he in your circle of people, or?
Well, I've met him, but this is only recently, really, within the last 5 years or so. But he's always been on my radar since I was, a teenager. I bought his albums, went to his concerts, and a big fan, big influence on my style, and as well as many other comics, and
Because I can't think of too many. I mean, I know of Steve Martin and Harry Anderson, who are sort of comedians who've also
Now, Harry's
done
a good
magic.
friend of mine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but Steve, he is a member of the Magic Castle, and I've bumped into him a few times. And we do have I had a good icebreaker to go up and talk to him because he started out at Disneyland, working the magic shop and stuff like that out there when the park first opened, back then, because he grew up in Garden Grove. And his first experience with live comedy was seeing Wally Bogue in the Golden Horseshoe Review, which is a show they used to have at Disneyland.
Okay.
And it ran for many years. I really got my start really doing professional magic at Disneyland as well when I was hired straight out of high school. And I did strolling magic and performing there, in the park as a riverboat gambler, doing gambling tricks or as a court jester juggling and stuff like that, because I'm also a juggler. And I saw that Wally Bogue guy perform, and I thought, wow, I want to do that show too. And he retired, and so I auditioned to be like the replacement.
Okay.
But I didn't get hired for that. They hired another gentleman to do that, but I was hired to be the understudy. But in addition to doing the other magic shows I was doing, so. We talked about that when I met Steve.
Wally Bogue.
We talked about Wally Bogue.
Well, that's a natural icebreaker.
Yes.
Anybody called Wally Bogue.
Well, he got really excited about it.
Oh,
Wally was really dear to him, as he was to me too. Yeah.
Have you seen Steve Martin do magic? I mean, does he do it at the Magic Castle ever these days?
No, he doesn't perform at the castle, but I have seen him do magic, actual magic.
Okay.
Because in his act, he did a little comedy magic, so it wasn't real magic tricks and stuff like that. But he can do some good tricks.
And then he just, I guess, phased out of doing that, and
the stand-up.
He just became a straight stand-up. Like he seemed to drop the magic altogether, really.
Right. Yeah. When I first saw him on TV when I was a teenager, he did comedy magic. He was on the Mike Douglas show. And I think he also did on the Smothers Brothers Hour, too, because he was a writer on the Smothers Brothers. So that's the first place I saw him. It was Mike Douglas, and then I think I saw him on Smothers Brothers before, too, or something. Maybe I saw it later on a tape. But I remember all the gags he did with the magic and stuff like that. But it was mostly just gags with magic theme. He wasn't really doing tricks so much.
Why do you think he phased out the magic and just started?
Probably because he wanted to have a successful career.
I see. So really, this is the key ingredient issue. Got to drop the magic.
Yes. Let's count the magic millionaires on our hand. Okay.
I mean, who are there? So David Copperfield.
Oh, there's plenty. Yeah.
David Blaine.
You got Chris Angel.
If you
want to call him a magician.
I see this. So why would there be like snarkiness to certain people? Like, so what's the thing with Chris Angel that he warrants a tone?
He takes a lot of liberties on his TV shows, with editing and stuff like that. And it upsets magicians.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. When I first saw his TV show, I didn't know who he was. And I watched it and I was like, wow. And my son was saying, Dad, how'd he do that? And usually I know. Yeah. And I'm going, I have no idea how he did that. So I did a little investigating because I knew some people that were working with him. And then I found out, oh, no, we just cut the tape and we edited it, and, and we just did. And I'm going, I stopped watching him. Now, I have to say, I did go see his show in Las Vegas recently. I heard some bad things about it when it first opened, but they made changes. And it's actually a pretty good show. And he can do his own. He can hold his own with magic. He did a dove act that was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, he has a good dove. The guy has a good dove act.
And he does some stuff. On stage, you can't stop and edit. See,
right.
So he has to, do some stuff.
I love the idea of a magician who's like, yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that on stage. Right. Okay, everybody, close your eyes.
Right.
Stop. Okay, now wheel it in. Okay, now open your eyes. Ta-da! Right. So it's not, he wasn't bad, but it's just, and he has a reputation for other things, but I don't want to go talking bad about people.
Oh. Ladies, being one for the ladies. I'm only guessing. Which is the magician that's like in the relationship with Hugh Hefner's ex? Is that Chris Angel? Holly Madison?
I don't know.
She's like with a magician.
It might have been him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds like it.
Okay, there you go.
She lives in Vegas and he lives in Vegas, so.
Okay.
Probably.
I met Holly at the Playboy Mansion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's a very sweet girl. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know anything about her magical life with her boyfriends, but she was very nice.
Oh.
So do you know of magicians in other countries who are very famous? Like, is it a global phenomenon? The giant, like David Copperfield type of a guy? Does every country have one, like Australia and places in Europe?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an American-y thing. You think it's kind of a global thing?
Well, I would say David Copperfield is world famous. And then there's these other countries, and they have magicians that are famous in their country,
right.
but you would never heard of them here. Magicians have heard of them, but they're not famous really over here. And there's some that are American, and they go over to India or China, and they become very famous over there.
Okay.
You know, like Franz Harari, very famous in India and China, and he's opening up a big, giant magic theme club in China this year, in fact, and he's like the David Copperfield over there. It never really hit it over here. Okay. I mean, he's done tours here, and he does, but not as big as David. But I mean, you know, there's another millionaire magician, you know, Franz. So, is
David Copperfield the most famous one? Would you say? I mean, do all magicians bow down to David Copperfield?
Yeah, I would say definitely he's the most famous magician right now, living. Yeah.
Is he still with Claudia Schiffer?
Oh no, that ended.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Long time ago.
See, I don't track magicians.
Oh, yeah, no, but I got to say, he made us look good, you know, in the magic world.
Yeah. He boosted you all up a notch.
You know, he's with the supermodel. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good match. And why do you think he's so big? Why is he the one? What's different about him?
Well, he was always great at reinventing himself, like Madonna was always doing that. So when he first started doing his specials in, I think it was the late 70s or early 80s, they were very different from the later specials. They were, back then, they're more vignettes. You know, he would take a song, like a Frank Sinatra song, and create a routine around that, you know, floating a girl, but it kind of went with the music and it had a little story to it. He did a lot of that in his first couple of specials. And then later in the 80s, it started changing. It became a little more, his look became a little more fashionable. His hair is more puffy and wearing the garb of the day, you know, and choreography dancers and stuff like that. But it was always never really, it didn't seem cheesy back then. Maybe if you look at it now, it seemed kind of cheesy, but I remember they were very good specials, well produced, and that's what made him a household name. He just kind of took the mantle over from Doug Henning, who used to have the magic specials. Everybody would think Doug Henning. Before Doug Henning, there was Mark Wilson on TV. So there's always seemed to be some magician on television that everybody knows. Copperfield stopped doing the specials. From what he told me, it really didn't sell any extra seats.
Oh, wow. So you know him personally, David Copperfield.
So it didn't really sell any extra seats. He discovered. And plus magic was getting saturated in the 90s because he stopped doing them in the 90s because all these other magic specials were coming out. World's Greatest Magicians and stuff like that were on all the time. So it just seemed to get saturated.
Well, I guess the other thing when you would do a TV special is like stand-up comedy. Once you've done it on TV, you can't really have people come out to see that trick or illusion in a show, can you? I shouldn't use the word trick. I apologize.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
do you call it tricks sometimes?
Sure.
Magic tricks?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
I mean, wouldn't that make sense? Like if David Copperfield's got a big show of a floating girl to Frank Sinatra and it's on TV, can he still do that same thing for a crowd in Vegas?
Sure.
Oh, he can?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I mean, then you show some things maybe you didn't do on TV.
Okay,
But, you mix it in there.
So you can do the same thing.
Because people like to see it live. You know, they want to see it, they see it on TV, but, seeing it live is a whole different aspect to it, using the proscenium and running your TV set. So it'd be even more powerful, actually, seeing it live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bonus then over stand-up, because I think generally people, when they see you do the joke on TV and then they see it live, they're like, oh, we already know that one.
Oh.
They don't want you to do
jokes
the
are
same.
differently. If you already know the punchline, you're not going to get the reaction of laughter, but the reaction of, magic is we're like, how do you do that? I want to see that again.
Yeah, I want to see if I can figure it out.
I want to see if I can figure it out. I want to see it again. And then, even if you figure it out, you want to bring a friend along, and then you want to see that person get fooled.
Yeah.
You want to see their reaction, and so you can relive that magic again through them. And you can do that, but people do that with comedians
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
They bring someone in. I had such a great time the first time I saw
Yeah.
this comic. And they bring them along because they want to see them have that same experience so they can relive that experience. Because it's an exciting thing.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
right. Yeah, you're right.
So it's similar.
Is he a nice guy, David Copperfield?
Yeah.
Like kind of down to earth?
Yeah.
Just a normal dude?
Especially these days. I mean, he's a family man now. So he's kind of, a little more relaxed in that area too. So he's a little more personable and things like that. So
has he changed the structure of his career from being a family man? Like, does he still tour as much, or?
No, he's mostly in Vegas all the time now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's over at, I believe, the MGM, and he seems like he's well planted there. But he used to tour all the time. He's like makes $60 million a year.
Wow.
He's like on the Forbes list of, not only the richest magician, but one of the richest entertainers.
Wow.
I think he's almost like worth $1 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean,
he owns an island.
For that kind of money, you could literally have a physicist figure out how to make a girl float for real.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, he floats. You seen him fly in his show?
Wow.
Have you seen him fly?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen?
I haven't, no.
Have you ever seen his show live?
I've seen TV things.
Oh, no.
I haven't
Go
seen
see him
anything
Natalie,
live.
go see him live.
Okay.
He has a great show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice
He's
of
in
you to
Vegas
say.
right now. I mean, he is a living legend in magic. I mean, it's like people that years ago went to go see Harry Houdini.
Right.
If some old man right now said, I saw Harry Houdini, you go, wow. I saw Howard Thurston, you go, wow. So years from now, you go, I saw David Copperfield when he used to work. Wow. So you should go see David Copperfield.
I will.
Go see him.
Where did he grow up? Is he like a California guy, or do you know where
You know
he's
what?
from?
I don't know. Probably New York.
New York.
Yeah, I think he's an East Coast guy originally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear he's a nice guy. He's not fixing it in post.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've heard, there's when back in the old days, I mean, I heard that he could be a little demanding on things and stuff like that. But my dealings with him, nice guy.
I mean, every time I hear that kind of thing about an entertainer who's a giant entertainer, you think, you know what? You have to be demanding. Like, if you're doing a giant show
He's
that's
got a
costing
TV special to
millions of
produce.
dollars,
Yeah.
you
So-
have to be demanding. And,
So, it's like he's got a lot of pressure. He's got to deliver this special, and come up with these routines. And so,
yeah, the other thing is, people are giving that guy the big money because they believe in his vision of a show.
Yeah.
So if some wall isn't in the right place and he goes, no, I want it further over, it's like, well, that's why you paid him, to tell you that he wants that moved,
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the British comedian / magician Tommy Cooper?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to see him? Or
Not in
anything
person.
like this?
I've seen tapes of him.
Okay.
In fact, a very morbid tape. He died on TV performing magic. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to watch. I mean, it was like, because, the audience didn't know. They thought it was
joking.
They thought he was joking.
Yeah.
And he just collapsed to the floor and took his last breath. And it was, wow.
What a way to
On
go,
stage,
though, right?
though.
What a way to go.
He probably would want it that way.
Yeah, I mean, how could you?
You
think
wonder
of
if he
anything?
knew, and he was like, "This, you know what? I'm going on. If it happens, it happens." I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Are there any other Brit magicians you've crossed?
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels, right?
I've met Paul a few
Yeah.
times, but I'm not, friends of him. But I've met him a few times.
Do they have different styles? You know how British comics are different than American comics? Does it work the same with magic, or is that more universal? Or is it like, British magicians, their tricks are more small and discreet? Like, is there any variances in the styles? It's just like a universal magic's magic.
Yeah, as far as I see it, yeah. Noel Britton is a comedy magician. I just saw him in Las Vegas at a seminar I went to, and he was very funny, very good, and worked with him before. I mean, he's not as famous as some of the other guys I mentioned, but...
Have you ever done TV stuff?
Yes, yeah.
And how was that, doing it for TV?
It was fun. I did more television early on, 80s and 90s, Evening at the Improv, CBS Morning Show, all the shows that you would have comics on, and then occasionally they let a comedian magician join in. So I've done a lot of those. And then I've appeared on sitcoms playing a magician.
Okay.
Usually like the Golden Girls, I was a juggler, and then news radio as a magician, stuff like that.
My two favorite writers were on the Golden Girls, Jim Vallely and Mitch Hurwitz. Just in case, I don't know if you would.
I don't know them,
so.
no. Mark Cherry wrote the episode I was on, and he was the producer. He's the creator of
Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives, yes. Huh. And Mark also used to work at Disneyland.
Oh, there you go.
And I didn't know that.
What's his name? Wally
Bogue.
Wally Bogue.
Wally Bogue. Everybody.
The recurring name now.
Everybody worked at Disneyland one time or another out here.
Do you think with magic, because it's magic and comedy, is there a different pay grade? Don't say what you get paid, but like, do you get paid more than if you were a straight stand-up comic when you do a show because you have this whole extra skill? Or is it just like, this is the money for the show, whether you're a comic or whether you cut a girl in half for real, this is what you get paid?
Oh, I don't know if there's any difference in pay scale.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of comics that make more than me, and I make more than some other comics, but I think it's just a matter of the fact that I do comedy, magic, and I do it well. I can get comedian gigs. If they want a comedian, they'll hire me.
Yeah.
If they want a magician, they'll hire me. So I get two opportunities for employment.
Yeah.
So I do work a lot, because I'll work comedy clubs. I'll work a corporate event, and they hire me as a comedian, although I'm walking out there doing a magic act.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of work because of that.
Yeah.
And also, I'm very portable for a magician.
Right.
I carry a suitcase, and it's like I'm not the grand illusionist or something like that. So I can fit into, as a magic act, I can fit into almost any situation. I can corporate event, and we're having it in a restaurant in this banquet room,
right? And
I can fit in that corner and do my act and make it work.
Yeah, you don't. Think
or I can work on a stage.
You don't think about this stuff, like the ones with the big grandiose tricks with like cabins that they have to stand in and giant water tanks. I mean, it must be quite a nightmare just traveling with these.
And there's some
shows.
magic acts out there, manipulation acts, and that their act's 12 minutes, and that's it.
Wow.
And they travel the world doing that. I can do an hour. No problem, or more than an hour. And usually for corporate events and things like that, they want at least 45 minutes to an hour. So those guys can't work those events unless they're producing a bigger show that they're just part of, like in the more, several acts. So they have that problem. So in the magic world, comedy magic guys work a lot more, I would say, than anybody.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Because illusionists get more money than usually because
they have the bigger props.
They got the bigger
stuff.
tricks. They got assistants they have to pay. It's the freight to move this stuff around.
Right.
So they have a lot of expenses. So they charge a lot more money. They can get a lot of money, deservedly so. It's like. But
the most popular is you guys who are funny too.
I think so. Yeah. It's also because we're more in touch with the audience and all that. We're some illusionists are very good at connecting with the audience and all that. I don't want to, but a lot of them are not. Where with comedy, magic, and all that, we're more engaged with the audience, and so it becomes a more of a personal relationship or a more, back and forth with the audience rather than you're sitting there watching the illusions and he's done. You really don't feel like you know this guy. Some guys can cross that bridge, though. I know some very good illusionists who can do that.
You said manipulation. What does that actually mean?
Manipulation is like a guy comes out and produces cards. The music comes on, and he's producing cards and handkerchiefs and that kind of stuff. And it's all sleight of hand manipulation and it's done to music. And that's a manipulation.
Is that
so they're doing coins or cards?
Okay. Is that interchangeable with sleight of hand? Like, does it mean the same thing then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okie doke.
And close-up magicians are the ones they're very close to you. Close-up magic. Usually walk around magic. See, I do that.
Okay.
I get hired for a corporate gig, to do a 45 to an hour show after dinner.
Wow.
But I'll upcharge them. I'll go, hey, listen, I also can do strolling close-up magic during your cocktail hour if you have one.
Oh, nice.
So we do that.
The upcharge.
Nice,
Dana.
Or you use it for negotiating,
Yeah, I'll throw in a little bit of strolling.
Sometimes I throw it in for free.
Right.
Sometimes
Sweeten
I'll do
the
that.
deal.
Right. Just whatever. If I say I charge this, and if they stutter, I go, well, listen, I'll throw in this. Or if you don't have enough, I'll take, oh, well, that comes with close-up magic. I'll take out the close-up magic and we can lower it to this.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I'm giving away I hope no one's listening to this.
You're, well, I know for sure Coca-Cola and Pepsi are tuned in right now because I told them specifically to listen to this episode.
DanaDaniels.com.
You know how, comedians will get together and powwow jokes and help each other with tags and stuff. I mean, is that kind of collaborative spirit in the magic world?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay.
Yeah. Well, with the guys I know. I learned this from the club I told you about when I was a kid, Long Beach Mystics. And that's what the Mystics did. But it was a juniors club. So when we got older, we still wanted to, shop our ideas around with each other. And so we just called ourselves the board of directors. And we would just meet at someone's house or somewhere and order pizza. And then we go, okay, I'm working on this. I'm working on this move. I'm working on this joke. Or I'm looking for a joke for this. Because not all the guys were comedy guys. And then we started bringing in, jugglers, stuff like that. They were working on materials. One time we brought in a few stand-ups, but that didn't work out too well.
Oh, really? What happened?
They just didn't seem to, that wasn't the way they work. So, the guys we brought in, they just it didn't seem to. So.
They didn't want to chip in with their ideas to your stuff.
Yeah, it was just different, So I can see there is a different mentality with the doing strictly stand up and doing comedy magic. Even I ran into that one back in back in late 80s. I was in the San Francisco comedy competition.
I've done that.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
Oh. And I was in the competition. There was one other comedy magician, Paul Kozak. Great guy, funny guy.
Yeah, I know the name.
And he worked clubs for years. So we're in it and definitely noticed a vibe of like we were on a lower level the whole time we were there, especially when we would place, that night, because you're doing different nights. And I would come in second. And I remember I was in earshot of other comedians, and they were going, "Can you believe a freaking magician came in second last night?"
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going, well, they let me in the competition.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, obviously it's not strictly stand-up. It was a comedy.
Of course.
It was a comedy competition.
Yeah.
So I'm a comedy act. And I know one year a ventriloquist won. Ron Lucas won the competition. So I can't imagine what that was like.
Bottom line, you're making people laugh.
Yeah.
If they let you in the competition, then it's a fair thing. It's up to the competition to decide, no, this is a stand-up
I
purist
admire
show,
stand-ups who go out there and take you to different places and all that with their words. And I think it's a great art, And like when I did Evening at the Improv, and then I wanted to work the improv, and I would go out to Hollywood and do it once in a while. And I remember Mark Linnell taking me out to the sidewalk, and he says, you're very, very funny, and your timing's great and all that. You should drop the magic and just do stand-up.
Wow.
And I said, Mark, thank you, but I'm a magician, and I'm a comedian magician. That's just what I like to do. I like magic. And this is what I do. I said, you got a zillion comics, great comics. I said, you only have a few comedy magicians, so why don't you just... But he was, he just thought, maybe, who knows, maybe I would have gone further if I did that or not, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel, as a rule, that there's a kind of a stigma about it, doing magic?
I think in certain cities, I found that, when I did that San Francisco comedy competition back then, afterward, I worked all those clubs that the competitions were in, and I thought they were great clubs, and I went over really well, and I thought, hey, maybe I can work that circuit. And so I started calling them up afterwards, and got great resistance. I said, but don't you remember how well I went over? And they would say, yeah, but we're more into comics that do socially relevant material.
Oh.
That's our thing. And I went, oh,
wow.
I thought we were into entertaining people. Okay. I think there's room for everything. Social relevance. I like that. But I just thought that was interesting. So I thought, okay, well, I will be part of that then. So I went more towards the corporate market and things like that.
Well, it's good that you work so much. You're a phenomenal show. I'm thinking of literally seeing you at the Magic Castle. It's hard to top that level of entertainment.
Thank you.
It's just so blindingly funny and entertainment. I know that feeling. I describe it, and I love it, and it doesn't happen very often. where I laugh so much, I feel like I'm out of my body. Like I almost feel like I've left my body. I'm laughing so much.
What you saw was my theater show that I created with the piano player, and we do that in theaters and stuff like that. And the Magic Castle once a year, we do it there. It's called the No Show.
Yes. Oh, so that's not the same show you would always travel with?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought that was just your new
the act I do with the parrot, the bird and all that. That's what I normally, I have, a 45-minute show. I do the psychic parrot, and I bring up people and try to prove the bird can read minds and do all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so the No Show is a whole other beast that you've conceived for certain purposes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to be touring to Dubai and different places. Oh, no. What are you taking to Dubai?
Dubai, I am part of it's a show called The Illusionists.
Okay.
In 1903. And it's, I don't know if you're aware have you ever heard of the Illusionists show?
I don't think so.
It's one of the most popular traveling magic shows in the world right now. And they've been selling out stadiums.
Wow.
And the guy that created and all that, the marketing behind it he was like a rock and roll producer and stuff like that. So he's kind of produces it in that fashion. So a lot of advertising and the way they make it look, and the magicians they gather, they costume you up, and they have sort of a theme to it. Each magician has a character. So this has toured the world, this show called The Illusionists. Then they had Illusionists 2 and come out. And now this is the third one, but it's called 1903. Oh. And it's themed turn of the century.
Okay.
So the whole thing is we kind of look like we're from 1903, the whole kind of that vibe. And it's a really cool looking show. I mean, I haven't done it yet because it's just been created. But I've done my costuming, my video shoot for it, my pictures for it, and there'll be announcements of it starting. But we're going to start our tour in Dubai and surrounding cities there for 3 weeks, and then we go to Australia for 2 months.
And are you going to come to
We're
America
going to perform in the
as well?
Sydney Opera House.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah.
Are you going to come to America?
Well, see, the first Illusionist is touring America right now. And hopefully, this one will tour America. I don't know when.
Going to go to the UK?
There's a version of it in the UK this fall. I think Illusionist 2 is going there.
So this is a show where you can have different people in the cast, clearly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But they came out and they saw my show. They saw the No Show, and the producer loved it so much, and he was like, "Oh, I want to incorporate different parts of your thing. You do that into the show."
And in the No Show, you have a sidekick. So when you travel, do you take that guy with you, or do you?
Oh, the piano player?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Richard Allen, and I also have another guy too, Hal Ratliff.
And they just travel with you where you need them. You don't do what you did with the Dove and hire.
I don't put
guy.
Richard underneath my seat. Yeah. So
does he go on your shoulder through the X-ray machine?
Yes, and I carry him through rather than sending him through the X-ray. And but he's a large part of the show. He's like the MC and so I've auditioned piano players.
Okay.
But I've been working with Richard for 20 years.
So if you went to England to do that show, or Scotland or something, you would take him with you?
Yes. No, I wouldn't hire someone there.
You wouldn't say, right.
No, because there's too
much. A
much.
dove and a guy with a piano.
Right. There's too much interchange
going
on.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant.
And they have to be, a great piano player.
Yeah, and
too.
a great chemistry with you.
Yeah.
How did you feel and your magician friends do you remember when that series of films came out, Breaking the Magician's Code? Do you remember on the TV?
Oh, The Masked Magician?
End of the 90s, and it was this guy, Val Valentino.
Oh, Val. Val's a friend of mine.
And so, how is this man still alive? Like, surely everybody was freaking out when that happened.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it came out, and nobody knew who he was. And the way they found out was quite brilliant. They found out who the makeup artist was on the show. And then some magicians did. They were trying to find out who this guy, masked magician, was. This is the story I heard.
Okay.
And then they just gathered as many headshots of magicians as they could, because the person that did the makeup didn't even know his name.
Okay.
But let us know, what does he look like? Oh. And I'm trying to figure out makeup. The guy wore a mask. What does he need makeup for?
Yeah, that's a good
So I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, that's a really
but
good
I guess,
point.
I don't
Hair,
know.
I guess,
the eyes, I don't know. But anyway, so they flipped all through these pictures, and then she went, that's him. And that's how they found out.
Wow.
At least that's the story I heard.
kind of a snitchy makeup artist, can I just say? Like,
well, maybe they
'cause she's
slid her
been
a few
paid.
bucks. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah.
they paid her higher.
Maybe, I don't know. But I was really stunned that it was Val. Val was a friend of mine. Val's a great magician. And I guess he just needed some money or something. I don't know all the details of it.
I mean, what happened? Did the guy get death threats afterwards?
Maybe. I don't know. But he went on to make more of them, and I think he just kind of laid low. And I don't know what he's doing.
Is he having
now.
to live in the Bahamas or something?
I have no idea.
You would think.
Maybe he made enough money to where he can go live somewhere cheaply. And now Val a few times has tried to, I think, actually, I did accept it. And he tried to friend me on Facebook, I think it was.
Of all the nerve.
And a few times I turned it down because I was like, why would you do that, dude? And I think I did accept it. I don't know. I have to look to see if he's on there. I haven't seen him post anything.
Then in that moment where you're secretly 12, you accepted his friend request. Because that's sort of how silly it is on. Should I accept his friend request? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to click and then we're friends?
Well, I was kind of curious, just to see what
he
he's
was
up to.
going to say and stuff.
So.
And have you had any dialogue with him since?
No, I don't know what I want to say.
So you haven't spoken since that whole thing? Because I think that was late 90s.
I haven't spoken to him since before that. I mean, before he was a mass magician. We used to just do shows. I didn't hang out with him. But I just know Val from working in different shows with him.
Were there any clues? Did you ever see him give a trick to someone and tell them how it worked? Were there any clues that he would do that?
Nothing. A complete shock.
And to what degree? I mean, because for an outsider of the magic industry, I would think like this is an atrocious betrayal to the industry. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it is. Although I would have to say, when he first was showing stuff, he wasn't really showing the correct way of doing it.
Oh.
Like floating a lady using a forklift behind the curtain. That's not how it's done.
Oh.
So he was trying to, just...
So he was doing a show, but he wasn't actually
giving you the real secrets.
Show.
Giving you, some stuff he did, but then the later episodes, he was showing you real stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, the public has a short memory, and they forget. And that was a while ago, and there's a whole new crop of new people who never saw it.
And when you would talk to your magician friends at this time, things like, 1998 or something like. Does that ring a bell? That it was that far away?
It was.
Those shows.
Yeah, it was. Well, when they found out about it, it was actually it was 1998 because I was supposed to be on the cover of Magic magazine that year.
I know where this is heading.
And then it came out that he got the cover, and my article got buried in there. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that just the sucky way that press works?
Yes.
You're the shitty guy and you get the cover.
Yes.
And Dana Daniels
gets buried in the
awesome and abides by the code. Oh, wow. Did you get to do a cover ever?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, eventually did.
So you were just bumped.
Took another 10 years.
So it's just like, 10 years before you got on?
Well, my article was in that magazine.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
10 years.
So, yeah.
So he had an impact on your career kind of directly. Because that sounds a pretty big
I never
deal
thot
being
about
on
that.
the
Maybe I
cover.
should go out and kill Val.
Maybe you should hire the guy to break
Maybe
his
I
legs.
should be. Put the hit on you.
Wow. So to what degree then were you guys like phoning each other? Do you have like your best buddy magicians that you're phoning going, can you believe it? It's Val. Did you see the cover? Was it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was really shocked.
So it was the buzz of the circles.
But I always thought it was best to just leave it alone. And the more attention you bring to it, the more publicity he gets. If you don't draw attention to it, it would just eventually fade away. What was really bad is they started showing those after magic specials.
Oh.
The TV station out here. They would have a real magic special on, like World's Greatest Magicians. Now, if you want to find out how it's done, watch The Masked Magician.
Oh, yeah, that does kind of make sense.
Which is terrible.
I got to say, if I was the person at the TV station and my job was on the line, I'd probably think that was
Get
a
some
good
ratings.
idea as well.
Oh, sure. Everybody has their motivations.
You've got to look after yourself, haven't you? If that's your job, that is good TV. That's a whole night.
Yeah.
That's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Did anyone else ever do that? Like to go and try and...
There were some local guys that done it. on local TV stations out here. I remember seeing, he wasn't the first guy with a mask over his head. I remember there was a guy that actually had a shopping bag over his head, showing
the low budget
showing illusions on Channel 11, and you're going, and it just blew over.
And is there such a thing, I'm assuming yes, as the magician's code? And is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's,
I guess.
That's
Yeah,
it,
sure.
And the code is you just don't tell people how you do your stuff.
Absolutely.
There's no sort of like union or anything.
No.
Or organization.
No, but there's, the Magic Castle, which is the Academy of Magical Arts.
Okay.
And there are magicians who do create magic, and if you don't buy it from them or license it from them and then go out and make it your own, and if you do it like at the Magic Castle and they find out about it, you're gone.
Like you'll
never work there again. Yeah.
There or anywhere?
Well, at the castle.
Okay.
And if the word gets out, you won't get hired at a convention or something like that. But it's not going to hurt you in the public world because...
Is the Magic Castle the number one place on the planet, would you say, for magicians? Is that the be-all and end-all that you aspire to work at?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For magicians, that's one of their bucket lists is to work the castle.
And why that place?
It's because it's so unique, one of a kind. I mean, it's just a magic club made from this old mansion in Hollywood that's right there in the center of Hollywood. It's just a block away from Grauman's Chinese up on this hill. And it looks so enchanting. And, people look at it and they hear, wow, the world's greatest magicians are in that building performing nightly. It's like, it has that stigma to it. I mean, not stigma, but, that reputation to it.
Cachet, kind of. Yeah. That allure. And you said it's changed now how people get in to be performers at the Magic Castle. How does it work
if you want to be a
now?
performer, I don't really know.
Yeah, you're in.
I'm in. I've been doing it for years. So I think they just send a videotape in or probably it's online. They send a link to the show director and he looks at it. But it's very difficult, I think, because there's so many magic acts working now. And they change the shows every week. There's different rooms, so they employ a lot of magic during the week. I think there's like 10 magicians working.
On any given night.
Yeah, usually there's 3 in the room you saw me in. I took up 3 spots because I was doing my whole theater show, but usually there's 3 different acts in there. And then you have the close-up room. They have usually about 3 different acts in there through the evening. Early. Super early, then early, and then late. And then the parlor has 2 early guy and a late guy.
Do you do all of those rooms?
I've done all the rooms except the close-up room.
Okay. Just not your thing?
No, I want to do it someday. It's on my bucket list. With close-up magic, I usually do it in a strolling atmosphere where I walk around and then I'll do it at a table. But I don't have a show I do with close-up, and I'm kind of all about show. So I don't want to go in there and just do tricks, which is what I'd be doing. So I could go, okay, here's some different tricks I can show you for 20 minutes.
Here's a bowl under a cup, and here it's gone.
A bowl?
A bowl.
Under a cup.
Under a cup. Oh, well, I'm only thinking of those.
Oh, a ball.
Yeah, a bowl.
I thought you said a bowl.
Well,
Is that accent thing
it's
kicking
a dialect
in?
thing.
I'm thinking, what's a bowl under a cup? A ball. Oh, yeah, a ball underneath the cup.
That's just when I'm thinking of close-up magic, I picture the little cups.
The cups and balls.
And bowls.
Yes. Yeah. So I like to have a show that has like a beginning, middle, and end to it, and segues and blah, 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 blah. So I'd have to develop that, and I just haven't.
And so when you get past, the only thing I think of that in my experience is similar is when you're at the Comedy Store and it used to be Mitzi Shore and then it was taken over, is that it's very official, like you're past and that's it, and you can put your name on the wall. Does something happen at the Magic Castle where somebody finally says, they no pun intended, wave their magic wand and you're past? Like, does your picture go up on the wall, or is there any kind
When you become a member, you mean?
Or just when you're allowed to now officially perform there? Is that so? Is that when they call it you're a member now, that you've done your audition and they say, you
have to audition to be a member.
Okay.
And then if you want to perform there, then you have to go through an audition for that.
So you have to audition for both?
Oh, yeah, to be a member.
I didn't know that. I thought membership might be just a paid thing. I didn't.
Well, you have to pay also.
Now you can audition.
Yeah. Now you can be an associate member, not a magician, but someone who wants to be a member. That costs more, and and there's no audition for that. You just write them a check.
Do you know how much it is to be a member?
I have no idea. I think they cut it off. actually, right now.
Are you allowed to even say? It's okay if you're not. Like what it costs if you are accepted to be a member?
Oh.
Is it like thousands of dollars?
No. I think I pay $500 or $600 a year.
Per year, and you
to
have
be
to
a member.
pay per year.
Yeah, for a local member. If you're an out-of-town member,
it's a bit more, maybe.
and then it's half that.
What does the membership get you other than, of course, the prestige?
They have a library.
A library.
Very extensive magic library in the castle. They have lectures there.
Wow.
Every Sunday. There's lectures.
On how to do magic?
Yeah, or anything.
Wow.
I've lectured there. Most of my lectures are on performance theory and stuff like that. How to write comedy for magic and things like that, or how I came up with my ideas. But yeah, but trick lectures are always the most popular because everyone wants to learn a new trick.
Yeah. Huh. Every week, did you say?
Every Sunday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, usually like at 4 o'clock or something like that.
Do you guys get a discount on your food?
Yes, they do have a discount, a membership discount. They also have membership specials.
Drink specials?
I don't know about the drinks.
Okay.
I don't know if they do. No, I really don't drink, so I don't order alcohol there.
So basically, when you've done your audition, you've paid your dues to be a member, there's no announcement. You just start showing up and people are like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you before. You must be a new member. They don't
there's
do
so
a
many
bulletin
members. There's thousands of them. So, I don't know if anyone they wouldn't know if you're new or not,
Okay.
Unless you start showing regularly.
That's true.
If you're there all the time, then you start.
But there's not a formal thing like at the Comedy Store that you write your name on the wall at the Comedy Store. So there's not a formal
Comedy Magic Club does that. We have bricks on the wall.
Okay.
The Comedy Magic Club, and all the new performers there write on the bricks.
Is your name on a brick there?
It's on 2 of them.
Oh, cool. How'd you get 2?
Well, my first one I signed in 1983 when I first performed there in April of 83. And it was actually inside the green room. But you can't see it anymore because it's behind the refrigerator because they moved stuff around since then. So I said, well, that's not fair. You can't see mine. So they started moving out in the hallway now. So I decided to take one of those in the hallway too. So
that
you
makes
can at least
sense.
see me. So
did you kind of do it upon your own?
I just did it on my own.
You didn't go to Mike Lacey and go, I'm requesting permission for.
No, you don't have to ask permission to take a brick. No.
That's funny.
No. They're great there.
So when you're a member at the Magic Castle, is there a way that you would lose? Has anybody ever lost membership?
Yes.
And what happens? What would you do to lose membership besides the obvious, I guess, of revealing how you do something?
It's really just breaking the rules. I mean, if you try to sell, because they can get people in for free.
Okay.
Bring some people in. But if they charge those people, and then bring them in, try and profit off of it, or if you try to sell your guest cards.
That'd be super sneaky.
Yeah, you're out of there.
Are there women magicians?
Yes, not a lot, but there are.
Okay.
I wish there were more. We could use more.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe women are just not as interested in magic as much as men are. Or
Maybe
more,
women don't feel the need for illusion as much as
I don't
men.
know what the reason is, but there's more men comics than female comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if the proportion is the same, though. I mean,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I can't think of a female magician that I've ever seen, even.
There's no famous ones. In the magic world, they're well known.
Yeah.
Tina Leonard and Miss Tina. And, I'm trying to think. I'm embarrassing myself. I can't come up with the names right now. But
I wonder if it's just like how the brains operate differently, how guys like to take things apart when they're kids and put them back together. Because it's a similar kind of, I would think, a brain process of learning how to do the trick. You've got the steps, and I wonder if that just appeals more to guys than girls.
Probably, yeah.
How far off your original plan, or how far on your original plan are you? Because you're this amazing comedian magician. Is that what the plan was to become, or did you have another plan of where you were going to be?
Well, when I was in college, I really didn't know what direction to go to. I wanted to be a magician, but I wasn't really sure if I could make a living being a magician. And so my other plan was being a photographer.
Oh.
All I knew, I wanted to work for myself, But the magic really took off, even when I was in school, and I just decided okay, let's focus on this. I used to go out for acting roles too. I had an acting agent and theatrical agent, but you've done that, and how competitive that is.
Yeah.
You get one job in 100.
Yeah.
And I got tired of that really quick, and I said, I seem to be pretty successful doing the magic. I'm going to put all my focus in on that and just make my living doing that. So now I would perform in every kind of venue there is. I'd done the cruise ships, the corporate gigs, theaters, clubs, you name it. I've tours and shows. And so you just make your living the way you can.
Do you still have an agent who, if the right exact part came up, or as you say, if they needed a magician?
Not currently, no.
Okay.
I thought about maybe getting back into it because now I'm older, and so I can go out for different kinds of parts. I can go out for dads and stuff like that, which is different from your 20s when you're going out for the young kid.
Yeah.
So, and plus I'm more seasoned now, so I think I would do better. So I thought about it.
I think you should. I mean, when I watched you, I just was so blown away. But I thought as well, you're such a good actor. And the timing, it is surgically refined at this point. That you really have that air on stage of someone, you can read how long you've done this. And that's something, I think you could only be your age to have that. So these new roles, as you say, of dads and that sort of thing, you would be such a great performer to go in and audition for that sort of stuff. So I want to put it out there.
I agree 100%. So
I can totally see you on a sitcom or something,
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel any bitterness or anything about,
Not bitterness. I never try to do that. I consider myself very lucky with what I have done and achieved. I don't want to dwell on what would have happened if I did this because I don't know what that would have been. And there's plenty of guys out there who've gotten series and then they're gone like that.
Well, you also have a lovely family.
Yes. Well, that was the other part was I wanted to balance myself out as far as I want to get married, I want to have kids, and I want to, live a somewhat normal life as you can as an entertainer. And I think I've been pretty good at that.
Yeah, I think it's been phenomenal. If your son wanted to go into magic, I don't know if he does, but would you encourage someone to go in?
Oh, absolutely. If he wanted to, he doesn't. He's more interested in backstage kind of stuff. He's a stage tech actually at Disneyland Hotel. Here comes Disneyland again. And he's 19, and he got that all on his own. He's interested, and he's always taking things apart and putting them back together again, and he's an expert on the computer.
I rest my case. Men like to do this.
Yeah.
Men like to take things apart.
He likes that he likes video editing and stuff like that. So he's really good. That's his talent. I tried to get him started in magic when he was little. When they had the talent shows at school, I would teach him a little act, and he would do it every year. But then when he was about 11, he said, Dad, I think I want to play the guitar this year. And I was like, I lost him.
Yeah, I lost him.
And he played the guitar one year, and then after that, he didn't want to do it anymore.
At least he didn't become a guitar comic.
or a guitar magician.
And I only mean that because he's your son, not because of any disrespect of guitar musicians.
No, there's lots of good ones.
They're awesome.
There.
Yeah, I think they're awesome.
I love all the varieties of comedy are great.
Like you said, if you're entertaining,
if it's entertaining, if it makes me laugh, I'm having a good time. It's great.
And for people who might want to, I know my little friend in England, Adam, who's 10 years old, and he's really interested in magic. Is there a go-to book that's like, for starters, you got to get this book because it's the Bible of starting off in magic? Is there... or is it just dive into books and get what you can?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of...
There's not like a Bible of, well, this is what you read first.
Yeah.
Like when people write screenplays, they often start off with Sid Field screenplay.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Sure.
And then, is there a magic one that's the equivalent?
Yeah, well, there's several out there. I would always say just, you want to learn starting out, learn your basics. Like I did, I learned coin palming and learn how to do certain manipulation. It depends which one, direction you want to go into. I've talked to so many different magicians, and all of them have gotten in from different avenues. These days, a lot of them, it's from watching stuff on YouTube, and they'll learn magic because they don't have a magic shop near them. Magic shops are so far and few between now. The brick and mortar stores are disappearing because you
thanks
can buy.
to Burger King.
Yes, Burger King taking my magic shop away. So. But there's still a few out there.
And I guess online.
But online,
websites.
there's magic conventions everywhere. You can go.
How fun, a magic convention.
They are. I just went to a big one. Oh, man, great shows, great lectures.
Wow.
It was a good time. Dealer's room. All the dealers are in there selling their stuff.
Wow.
Selling big illusions to the small little tricks. Yeah.
I want to hear stories from your life. I want to hear some cool stories.
Okay.
What you got?
Well, like at the Comedy Magic Club, which is a great club to work because they're so friendly to magicians and comics. Mike Lacey is just the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah, he's lovely.
And you get to work with very famous comedians when you're there. I worked with Jerry Seinfeld there, Ray Romano. Wow. They come in, drop in, and it's like my home comedy club. So Gary Shanley comes in. And that year he's hosting, I think, the Emmys. And so he comes in every night. I was working the week, and he's working on his Emmy material. And he's just popping in, doing 20 minutes. So they would put him on after me. So I would go out and watch him. Because I finished my act with the parrot vanishing, and then when I turn around, he's hanging on my butt.
Spoiler! Spoiler alert!
I know. Well, there you go. But you have to know that for this story.
All right, so parrot hanging off your butt.
You remember seeing that?
I do, yes.
It's a very funny visual. So Gary would go out there and start his act off talking about that. He's going, I don't think I'd be comfortable with a parrot on my ass. That was his opening line. It was hilarious. I don't see, and then he starts talking. The bird was here, and then it was on his ass. And he'd go in. It was very funny. Yeah. And then he'd go in from there. And so he did that every night. He opened up his act doing that. I got the biggest kick out of him doing material about my act.
Yeah.
So Saturday night comes, we finish, and he says, Dana, are you working next week? And I said, well, no. And he goes, are you available next week? And I said, yes, I am. He goes, Mike Lacey, come here. I want him working next week. So I got another week's work out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Gary would go on after me, do that whole thing. The second week, Saturday comes, second show. Gary says, Dana, you mind? I want to get out of here. Can I go on before you? I said, yeah, sure, Gary. I don't care. It's Gary Shanley. So I go out in the audience. I'm sitting with one of his writers. When Gary comes out, I haven't been on yet. Comes out and his opening line is, I don't think I'd be comfortable with a parrot on my ass. And then he realized what happened.
Oh my gosh, did he not realize?
He didn't realize. He was so used to just opening up with that line after me, and he kind of got mixed up. And so then he realized, oh my gosh, Dana hasn't been on yet. Because he was getting no laughs with it like he was all week. He walked off stage.
Oh,
because he was really disheveled. And then he walks back on, and then it took him a while to get back in his zone.
Did he have to did he reveal to the audience what?
He did when he said the line and it got no reaction. He was like looking at the audience going, well, don't you remember the magician made the bird disappear and it ended up on his ass? And then he realized, oh my gosh, he has been on, and he thought he just ruined my show. So when he finished his set, we passed each other backstage. That's the great thing about the Comedy Magic Club. It actually has a backstage.
Yeah.
So we crossed each other backstage, and he was like, so apologetic. Dana, I ruined your show. I ruined your act. I'm so sorry. I said, no, Gary, they're going to laugh even more when they see that bird on my butt now. I said, they're going to go, oh. And they did. Right. He was fine. I should have blackmailed him, though. I said, make up for it. Maybe take me on the road and open for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a brilliant one.
I got one time when I got hired to do a party at a home in the Hollywood Hills in the backyard. And they said, there'll be some, high profile people there, And so I show up and they take me over and they said, well, you're going to be performing right here. Madonna is going to sing some songs before you go on. And I said, you got a Madonna lookalike? And they said, no, it's Madonna. I said, wow. Madonna's going to open for me? The look on her face was like, wait 1 minute. And she walks away. And she comes back 10 minutes later. We're going to switch that.
Oh.
I was like, thank God. I don't want... Can you imagine trying to follow Madonna?
So you opened for Madonna?
At a private home. Yeah, she played guitar. It was just her. Her and another guitar player.
Whose party?
It was a birthday party for Rabbi Berg, the guy that was in charge, the head of their Kabbalah. Yeah, it was a Kabbalah event, I found out.
That makes sense.
She sang some of her songs on guitar, but she sang also some old standards like Moon River, songs he would like, And they're cool. I recorded some of them on my phone. Not very good video, though. It was one of the old phones.
Wow. Well, these are great celebrity stories. Yeah. What else?
I got hired one time to do Alex Trebek's birthday party.
This is the Jeopardy guy.
Yeah, Jeopardy guy. Host of Jeopardy. So he showed up. They did the whole surprise like that, and then and a lot of celebrities there. Betty White Betty White impressed me the most. I'm a big Betty White fan. Anyways, Alex's daughter takes me up to Alec and says, "Dad, this is the magician we got to perform at your party." And he goes, "Magician? What am I, 7?"
Was he trying to be funny or was he being kind of jerky?
I don't know. It came off as both, and I wasn't sure which one.
Yeah.
And I said, "I think you're going to enjoy the show, sir." And then when I did the show, he had such a great time. He hired me to do a show for the crew of Jeopardy! At their holiday party. Yeah.
Wow, you've got tons of these stories.
It was so funny. I remember one show I did. I showed up, and the lighting was terrible on stage. Nothing out there. And so I go to what I thought was a tech person, and I said, "I think we could use some light on the stage when I go on." And he says, "Okay, I'll get on it." And I go away to go do something, and I come back, and sitting on the stage is a lamp.
Oh, that's funny.
A reading lamp. I go, "Yeah, there's a light on the stage now." Took me quite literally. I wasn't sure if they were joking or they were...
When you've done the shows with like Jerry Seinfeld and stuff, I mean, he's always been one of my favorites and got so much respect for him. I mean, is he kind of chatty? Or does he kind of keep to himself before a show?
I never really had a big conversation with him.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's some guy, like Ray Romano's very,
chit-chatty.
Chit-chatty. I talk with him and all that. And Robin Williams was great hanging around the other comics and giving his advice and stuff like that.
What kind of advice did he give? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't recall.
You have to remember now.
Well, okay, I got a funny story about it, though.
Okay.
I finished my set at the Comedy Magic Club, and I was about to leave. Mike Lacey comes up to me, and he says, "Dana, don't go anywhere. Big star is going to show up, and you want to see him." But I said, "Well, who?" And he goes, "Well, I'm not going to tell you." So I go to the kitchen or something like that to get some food or something like that, and I come walking back towards the green room, and I see Robin Williams standing there at the door of the green room talking with the comics. I go, "Oh, it's Robin Williams." So I walk up and I go, "Hello, Mr. Williams, I'm Dana Daniels." And I said, "You might want to hang out. I heard a big star was going to show up."
Oh, that's funny.
And I got a good laugh. So, but no, he was very personable. He was great.
Just so sad.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah,
Oh.
a sad thing happened.
Yeah, we need to hear another happy story from you. So we gotta.
Well, we were talking about traveling with the bird one time. This is before 9/11, and some airlines, they didn't allow animals on board, and I don't want to check them below. I don't like that. So I would resort to sneaking them on board, and I had my different methods, which I'm not going to reveal. But
We can bring Val Valentino.
yes, he'll tell you. So I was flying out of Columbus, Ohio. It was during the wintertime. I just did a New Year's Eve show, I think, at some big event out there. And so I'm flying home. I'm wearing a trench coat, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I bet you the bird would fit in this pocket. It's a big, giant pocket on the side. And I thought, I bet you, I can get through with him there. And then I can stick him in the cage once I get through security and all that. So I decide to stick him in the pocket even before I walk into the airport. I get out of the cab. So, and he sits, he went in there, and he was perfect. He fit right in there.
Wow.
So I go in, and I get in the line to check in, do that little maze, get up to the front, and the guy behind the counter is there at the computer. And I put my bag up, and he goes, "Just one bag, Mr. Daniels?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Do you want to check in the parrot?" And I'm looking at him like, how does he know I have a parrot? And I'm thinking, maybe he saw the show last night. So I started to play dumb, and I looked at him, and I said, "What parrot?" He stops typing, and he looks up at me, and he says, "The one on your shoulder?" Oh. While I was waiting in line, the parrot crawled out of my pocket, up my back. I couldn't feel it because I have this big trench coat on, and went up to my shoulder. I had no idea. I don't know how long he was sitting there. So, and I'm looking him straight in the eye saying, "What parrot?" with a parrot on my shoulder. And when he said the one on your shoulder, I'm just like looking at him. I don't want to move. I'm like thinking in my head, please no, please God, no, please. And I look over, and there he was. And then I'm like going, oh, what am I going to say now? And then I just looked at him dead in the eye, and I said, "No, he's here to see me off."
And did they let you through?
He cracked up so much.
Oh, good.
He gave me the ticket and he says,
nice.
well, have a lovely trip, Mr. Daniels.
Oh, that's nice.
And he figured if I can get through security with him, God bless me, So that was back then. Now I can, I do it all legally.
Yeah, that's good.
But back then there's like a lot of the airlines. This one didn't allow animals back then. I don't want to say the airline, but it rhymes with Delta.
Got it.
Yeah. And
I've flown Helta a lot.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Any more stories there?
Well, I could tell you about, this is back when I was working out at Disneyland. I was doing close-up magic and strolling close-up magic, and I saw these kids. So I had them all sit down, and I sat down on the ground with them, and I started doing some coin magic. And then the parents came up, and I said, hey, come on, join the fun. Come on down here. So the parents sit down. Mm-hmm. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And I started like, and my palms are getting sweaty. You know how hard is the palm of coin when your hands are sweaty?
Oh, my God.
And I was just like, oh, my gosh. This was like in the 80s, the height of their.
That's like a high impact. George Lucas. And so did any of your tricks bungle because of this, or did you make it through with the sweaty palms?
No, I think it all went very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was difficult, because I was nervous too. I was like going, oh. And your brain starts going irrationally, thinking, wow, if I do well enough, maybe they'll put me in a movie.
So his personal message to Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, if you remember that day, that he would have been a little more on his game. So don't judge from what you saw.
Yeah.
Because he was a little bit nervous and anxious. So
yes.
He's normally much sharper and less shiny. Well, I'm so grateful that you joined us. Oh, you know what? This bizarre question. Why did your parents call you Dana?
I don't know. I asked my sister Chuck that many times.
Dana Daniels, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. DanaDaniels.com and the Dana Daniels fan page on Facebook is where you have to go to find out how you too can get to enjoy the incredible talents of this remarkable performer. Trust me on this one. Go see him. And if you're a company and you're booking talent for your event, your job will be secure if you book Dana Daniels. It's hard to top. I really cannot think how you could get a more enjoyable show. Trust me on this. Well, I think I've figured it out. This whole successing comedy thing, you gotta see this guy, Wally Bogue. So I looked him up, and I'm so sorry to report that he passed away in 2011, but he was 90 years old, which is not too shabby. It just shows comedy's good for you. Wally Bogue, and thanks to the digital age we live in, there is some precious archive footage, and I'm going to embed some of it into the blog page at thegreyescape.com, so you can go check it out for free at thegreyescape.com, Wally Bogue. And tell me if you think that you can see in the performance of Wally Bogue the tiny origins percolating of someone we know as Steve Martin, because I see it. And I'm curious to know what you think. Check it out. Also, I have a favor to ask you guys. Please, if you can take a moment and give a rating and maybe even a review on iTunes, would be so much appreciated. It will help the show appear in searches. More people can listen and enjoy the episodes. And if you're on Android, I know the show is posted on Stitcher, and you can rate and review there. And I would really appreciate that. And you can write to me if you have suggestions of guests or feedback for the show. It's contact@thegreyescape.com, Grey with an A. And I just want you to know, I'm grateful that you're listening. As I just feel silly right now. It would really suck. So thank you. And that's it. That's a wrap. Shazam! Abracadabra. I'll catch you next time on The Grey Escape.